I'm going to be talking about one particular project, but I cannot talk about this project alone without putting it in the context of other projects that came with it in a fantastic adventure that started back in 2006-7 for an organization called TUMO, which is a school for kids, a center for creative technologies, where they basically teach kids between the age of 12 and 18 creative technologies, so anything from videos to animation, to robotics, and so on. And this all started in Armenia with a donation, and it was supposed to be one single project in Yerevan, and then many projects followed as it became a very successful project, and there were many more donators. So this is the building we're going to be focusing on is a later project. It's not the first one, so I'll start with it because it was just complete. It's in a city called Khoury, which used to be the second biggest city in Armenia. But Khoury suffered a lot. Towards the end of the Soviet period, a lot of the industries were kind of closing down. And then in 1988, there was a major earthquake that destroyed most of the city. So the first time I visited Khoury in Armenia, it was a kind of a very difficult state, I would say, where the population was mainly very old, and there were no kids. You really couldn't see kids or young people, as young people were basically attracted to the capital, Yerevan. So one of the aim of the organization, TUMO, was to keep the youth in Khoury and develop that territory from the angle of knowledge and digital technologies. TUMO in general has set an agenda that by 2025, 85% of Armenian kids between the age of 12 and 18 will have access to a TUMO center, which is a free education within a 2-kilometer radius. So they have great donations now. They're coming from all over the place. And sometimes they build bigger projects like the one you're going to see for major cities, and sometimes they build very small modules. So we studied the city of Khoury like any architecture would do. It has very beautiful historical buildings. So we looked at its fabric. We looked at what was there in terms of functions in the fabric. As I hate to work on territories I don't know, so you try to go about it analytically, but this is always not enough. When we were given by the city of Khoury what was supposedly the first opera house in Armenia, built in the late 19th century, and it was in a very sorry state. It had been abandoned since the Soviet period. So we walked into this building and we tried to analyze it during the few trips we did, and it was very difficult to recuperate most of it, but we tried to. We condemned some of the add-ons that came later towards the Soviet period, and in conjunction with the school organization, we worked on a very basic layout. You have to understand that this is not a severe kind of setup of a school. This is more of a recreational knowledge place. So kids, oops. What did I do?
No, don't worry. I'm gonna.
Okay. So kids go there to have fun, and in remote places like Khoury and even further places in Armenia, these kids don't have much to do. So we try to create a destination for them, and this is why they've become very successful venues or destinations for the youth. So you can see to the right the state of some of these rooms. To the bottom right was the main opera hall. This is the backstage with 14 meters of height. So anyway, I'm not going to go too much into depth and detail of the building, but it was very important that this building addresses its site, not in the most conventional way, but addresses its context in terms of the revival of its context and the energy it should be bringing to the territory. So we worked on a project that integrates the basic functions of the classrooms and so on, which are fun rooms more than classrooms, But we also worked around and above the building so that the training continues on the roof of the building. And we created an interesting path so that the roof of the building becomes a very important destination where during certain parts of the year, when the weather permits it, classes could be held on the roof, as it has many layers and different levels, and also some fun activities. We have, obviously, this is an add-on, what you see here. So we've added a roof over the footprint of the building, much more elevated. This is what used to be the main opera hall and its backstage, which has now become a classroom, or a training room, where students come in and do their work, and they're assisted by their trainers, but also they can also have events, performances in that space that can be related to the creative technologies that they're handling. So we have built this roof above, and the underface of the roof is aluminum panels that are mirror reflective. And you'll see how this works with the contact. So this is a computer model. You can start to see how we've integrated the renovation of some of the existing spaces with this journey above the building. The building is located in the middle of a park, so it was very important to inject a good dose of energy into the site. So in the middle of this greenery, we've got this very marked color, the red. And so this is the main training hall in the former opera hall, where they could either have classes or work on performances. And it was completed just over a year ago, and we had the facade rehabilitated by a group of Italian restorers, as the locals couldn't really deal with it. But the rest of the work, the most complex parts of the work, which are the metal works and some of the concrete works and so on, were done on site, locally. So you can see now the journey on the roof and the reflection on the roof of the park around it, and some of the buildings that are still in ruin. And you can see the impact of the red on the greenery, on the park, and a very clear distinction between what was there before and what we've added. The building next door is still abandoned, is in ruins. And you can see in reflection some of the other ruins that you see reflected on the canopy above. And if you type Tumo Khoury on Google and you look for images, you'll see hundreds and thousands of images as kids go there and they take pictures and they post them. So it's become their fun destination more than just a school. And I'll give you very quickly a few examples of other Tumo destinations we've done. This one is in Paris. It was commissioned by the mayor of Paris, where we have to work within an existing space at Le Forum des Images. And so we had to share some of the spaces. This is one of the main spaces we had to share, and it's the vitrine of the school on a very important pedestrian passage. And as we could not put permanently furniture there, my answer was to put furniture that flies. So this is one of the trading classes of the kids, and it turns out it's just a tiny portion. It's 10% of the overall spaces dedicated, or the overall count of desks for students. But it turns out students come like half an hour earlier because they want to sit on these before they come half an hour before their sessions, so they can sit on these. These are suspended by cables, and when class is over, they just go back to the roof. by means of an electric engine. And all of these were manufactured in Beirut, in Lebanon, by my very dear friends and artisans in a very short period of time. So you see them here stuck to the ceiling when the class is over. When the class starts, they come down. I had a video, but apparently it didn't, so I'm kissing the umbilical cord here, which brings the data, but also the electricity, the juice to each one of these flying stations. There's about 500 metal pieces laser cut and assembled inside the chassis, so it's quite a technologically complex object, but that was built by artisans. Oh, the video is working. So you see, this is when they come down. We were testing them, so this is right before completion. And they can swing on them too, because they're just... This was the first one designed in 2006, 2007, completed in 2010, 11. And this is what started it all. It's quite a big venue in an existing building where I was in charge of doing supposedly the architectural tools for the school. But what was great about working with TUMO is that we got into the exercise with them literally at the beginning. So, and to me this is very important, is to be present before the act itself, before architecture, and understanding what makes a project. It's not necessarily purely architectural parameters, but things that go beyond. So I was very lucky to work with the engineers and the people who basically put together this whole program in order to design furniture, but also electrical systems, false ceiling systems, and all what is supposed to be basic, stupid architectural technology, and integrate it into the TUMO logic. And what was also very, so you see here that the main hall is like a circuit where kids can go and conglomerate together. They have moving stations. These were also manufactured in Beirut with my very dear craftsmen. So they can plug to the ceiling, get their electricity through these cords, and unplug and then just go and regroup according to, and this is it at rest. So this project is now probably over 15 years old, or 15 years old. We're doing more. This one is under construction in a very small town called Khoury, where the city gave us its major piazza, or what is relative to the village a very important site. And we thought it would be too aggressive to build on it. And because it is sloped and there is a river running here in the middle, we've kept the piazza open, and we've created really a public space punctured with the school, whereby you go into the crevice and into the space which meets the second reference level, the garden level below, which is at the level of the river. This is under construction. We're hoping to finish within a year. Concrete works are almost done, but we can't work in the winter as it gets really cold up there. And you'll notice that for every TUMO there's another iteration, unlike any other organization where they would design one basic architectural identity that repeats itself. The beauty of TUMO and the youth of it is that for every destination there's a new iteration. This one is in Massis, right outside of Yerevan. It's on hold right now, but we're hoping it's going to pick up again. So we're given a huge site that should be developed as a park later. A French school may join one of the sites, but this whole area is owned by one organization. They give us a chunk of it. And so here again, we've created another type of fun circuit whereby the school is hidden under very organic terraces, and it opens up to a central space that is open to sky, that could be either a performing space or or when it freezes, they could skate on it and so on, but it becomes their main interior courtyard. We've created and we've designed furniture for them, again rolling, because the idea is that you don't have fixed desks. So there's like the Formula One type of, or the 1960s Formula One type of thing whereby you go in and you're literally at ground level. Another one that you climb on almost like a bike, but you could roll them and plug them to the floor. This one was cancelled, unfortunately. It was designed for the equivalent of the well, the Armenians have their own pope, so to speak, and they have their own sort of Vatican, and we had to work with the local stone. But when I presented it to the Pope, he didn't like it because it didn't have big arches and big columns, and so this one was cancelled. And I think that's my adventure with Tumo. Thank you.